Hello everyone, Neil Tappin here from Golf Monthly, and in this video we are going to take a close look at the golf clubs used by Tommy Fleetwood in 2018. Now obviously Tommy was a Nike staff player, and when Nike stopped making golf equipment in 2016, Tommy became a free agent, and you really see that within his golf equipment. So Tommy is currently carrying 5 different brands throughout his golf bag. It's the end of the 2018 season. I'm sure changes will be made next year. There's a good chance Tommy might sign an equipment deal with one of the major manufacturers. But before he does that, it would be interesting to take a look at exactly what he has in the bag and how he has it set up. Now guys, please do like the video, also hit the subscribe button. The more likes that we get, the more chance we've got of getting Tommy on the channel himself next year to talk through his equipment. It's something that we've done this year with Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy and Bubba Watson. It would be great to get Tommy on because his thoughts on equipment, I'm sure, would be really interesting. Okay, so let's start with the driver. Tommy has a TaylorMade M3 driver. It's set up in a 8.5 degree loft, and he has the weights split. He has them split between a kind of mid-spinning weight setting here and a fade bias position at the back. Now, it's interesting because you might think that Tommy is somebody that swings the club between the sort of, I'm guessing, between the 110 and 120 miles an hour mark. He might have those weights both pushed right to the front of the driver to keep the spin down. It's something that he did do, he has done in the 2018 season, but predominantly he has favoured this setup here. We know that Tommy is somebody that's favoured a draw shape through the years, and so I guess having the fade set up means that he can really commit to that shot shape without fear of losing it too far left. He has a Mitsubishi Kurokage 70X shaft in it, and guys, don't forget that for Tommy, driving has been the sort of transformative part of his game over the last couple of years. That we've seen him sort of on this charge up through the world rankings, and largely that's been down to him regaining his confidence with the driver. In 2018 he was ranked 17th for accuracy, 22nd for distance on the European Tour. Accuracy was around about 64%, distance was 306 yards on average, and that combination off the tee is so important, and it is likely to yield a lot of success, and we're really seeing that with Tommy's game. Okay, so onto the Fairway Woods, and Tommy carries a 3-wood and a 5-wood, and the 3-wood is the newest addition to Tommy's bag. He's carrying a Titleist TS 3-wood. He has it in a 13-degree setup. Now, you'll find that a lot of players out on tour, they actually carry a 4-wood, so something that's about 15 degrees. Tommy doesn't. Tommy carries this in 13 degrees, and he uses a UST VTS silver shaft in it. That is a sort of a mid-spinning, mid-launching shaft. It's one that we've seen out on the PGA Tour being used by the likes of Brant Snedeker and Webb Simpson. Tommy has it in his latest edition, which is his 3-wood. And then he moves on to a real old trusty. It's a 5-wood. He carries a 19-degree Nike Vapor Fly 5-wood. Now, unfortunately, we didn't have any of those in the Golf Monthly office, but what we did have was the Cova 2.0. It's the predecessor of that Nike Vapor Fly. So this was the one that came before. Tommy's one's blue, this one's red, but there are similarities in terms of the technology, and the key piece of technology is this kind of cavity back that they had in the woods. I think Nike called it their fly brace, and that was designed to make the club as stable and forgiving as possible. It was a piece of technology that we at Golf Monthly, we really liked, and a lot of the players on the tours used Nike Fairway Woods. They were really popular, and I would be surprised if we didn't see that technology reappear at some point from one of the other brands in the future, but we wait to see on that front. It's clear to see from Tommy's setup that his 19-degree Nike Vaporfly, the blue one, an old trusty, is a really trusted member of his equipment lineup. Whatever he does in 2019, part of me thinks I'd be quite surprised to see him take that out of the bag. Obviously, Tommy carries 2 Fairway Woods, and he carries 4 wedges down at the bottom end of the bag. That leaves him with a bit of a problem, a sort of gap that he can't really do a lot about. And for the majority of the time, Tommy has gone from his 5-wood straight down into a 4-iron. He did carry a TaylorMade Gapper low at the Open Championship, but we haven't seen him use it since. So he tends to go from 19-degree Fairway Wood into a 4-iron, and the 4-iron that he carries is a Nike VR Forged. It's a sort of cavity back version of the Nike VR Pro blade that he carries from 5-iron down to 9. It's a classic set of blade irons. It was a set that we saw used by many of the best players in the world, including Tiger, including Rory McIlroy. Tommy obviously loved them and he relies on them now, and you can see why. Tommy averages 75% of greens in regulation, which has him ranked at #1 on the European Tour for greens in reg. It really is a fantastic statistic, and given how good he is with his iron play, you can see why he's stuck with the same model for such a long time. He has a Project X 6.5 shaft in those irons, and then from his irons he goes into the 4th brand in his golf bag, and that's Callaway. He has Callaway Mac Daddy forged wedges starting at 48, then he goes 52, 56 and 60. So Tommy leaves a 4-degree gap between each of the wedges at the bottom end of his bag. As I said earlier, there is a gap in his set. You can't carry 15 clubs. For most golfers there is going to be a gap. Tommy has that gap at the top end of the bag, so he has 4 degrees of difference at the bottom end of the bag. Interestingly, that 48-degree pitching wedge, I'd say, is 2 degrees weaker than you would find for the majority of players out on the European Tour. It's obviously a setup that works really well for him. He has dynamic gold shafts in those wedges. We don't know exactly what spec that shaft is, but my guess would be that it would be slightly softer than the Project X shafts that he has in his irons. That's because it's something that we see most players do. As you're not swinging the club quite so hard with your wedges, you don't need a shaft that's quite so stiff. And then he goes into his 5th brand. That is the Odyssey White Hot Pro #3 putter. Again, it's a bit of an old trusty. It's been in the bag for some time now. It's a classic heel and toe weighted, sort of answer shaped putter. It's a black head, it's a white face, and it's worked really well for him. He averages 1.7 putts per green in regulation, which when you hit as many greens as he does is a really good combination. He also has a super stroke mid-slim grip on that. It's something that he's had on his putter for some time. You'll notice that it's changed during the year. He put a Ryder Cup, a Team Europe grip on the putter when he came to the Golf National in Paris. And finally, he carries a Titleist Pro V1X golf ball. He uses the Pro V1X from 2017. So there you have it. That's Tommy Fleetwood's golf bag lineup for 2018. And when you look at his scoring average, it's come down from 70 in 2015 to 69 this year. And it's an interesting one because you might not think that's an awful lot. One shot doesn't sound like an awful lot, but when you times that across the course of a year in which you're playing 80 competitive rounds, that makes a huge difference. And we've seen that in the way that Tommy has absolutely soared through the world rankings. He's now in the mid-teens and he is looking like every bit the major champion in waiting. Guys, thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments, please do post them below. Likewise, if you have any questions, we will get back to as many of you as we possibly can. But for now, from West Hill, it's goodbye.